Yes, indeed, he asked. Could this be their finest hour? And I'm beginning to wonder, as we go through this pandemic, certainly the word pestilence is even an understatement for what we are going through. But could it be that when all is said and done and we look back at it with a little perspective and distance, could this be our finest hour? And let me ask you, as I ask myself, could this be my finest hour? And what might we do to see if that could be true? I'm Stan Houston. The program is The Master Entrepreneur, and we are here to figure out together how we can survive and thrive and what we need to do in post-COVID-19. The program begins right now. This is Stan Houston, and I am the leader of What It Takes Radio, and putting together this program, which hopefully goes around the world. I know it does. It doesn't mean everybody listens from around the world, but it has that potential. It could reach almost everybody in the entire world. And that's why I ask you the question, why aren't you standing right here with me? Or, because of the magic and miracles of technology, why aren't you speaking with me wherever you are? Wherever you are shut down, situated in place, whatever studio you might be from, why aren't you joining me in this program? Because this Master Entrepreneur is dedicated to you. It's all about you. This is for you because you make the difference. And we'd like to help you become a master entrepreneur as you take some time to learn a little bit more about the master entrepreneurs and maybe even seek some insight from the world's master entrepreneur. Well, a few things are happening and taking place right now. Yes, we are seeking to go into post-COVID-19. Lots of controversy. Oh, we shouldn't close up and open up. We should What should we do? Some people say it's time to open up, and there are voices that say, no, it's too soon. We have to stay closed down. Well, you sense the frustration and the confusion in my acted-out voice because that certainly represents what is going on. There's a lot of chaos. There's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of noise. And one of the things I'm praying for particularly is that God will provide, for those of us who care, some real strong voices of clarity. Voices of clarity, compassion, conviction, and courage. Voices that will speak up and give us something to listen to and something perhaps to act upon. Well, one of the things I am doing is I am reading a book that my daughter passed on to me, and I've mentioned it before, The Splendor and the Vile, which happens to be the story of almost 80 years ago. This is 1940. And World War II in Europe is beginning to come to an end in Europe because the Nazis have taken it all. And now they are trying to see and seek a way to either get a peace with Great Britain, because they're not sure they want to engage in that war, or what should the British do about the Nazi threat? World War II. And it's taking place in that time, in the beginning of 1940 and the early spring of 1940, and carrying through, and it is at that incredible time of danger and confusion and worry, very similar to the feelings people are having right now. What is going to happen to us? What are we going to do? We're all going to die. What is going to happen? Winston Churchill became the Prime Minister of Great Britain, and he was trying to find a way to lead and rally and care for and protect the people of Great Britain. And how did this rather strange and unique and deeply flawed, but also profoundly brilliant man, how did he do that? And what were the people involved, and how did the family respond? It's a wonderful story because it makes so much sense about what is happening today and what are some of the qualities of leadership that we perhaps should look forward to. And so I've been enjoying reading the book, and I, unlike my usual thing when I like a book, if I find a book I like, I sit down and I do it. I just read it. This book I'm making a habit of every evening, just reading a part of it, chapter or two, rather than doing my usual eat it all up and get it done and enjoy it all at once. I'm doing it in an evening time. And that has also given me some things to think about as I go to bed, think about my day, and certainly it has been something, of all things, that is helping me make my midnight prayers. That's what I call it, even though I go to bed much earlier than that. But these are the prayers that go up to me in the midnight hour, when it's dark, when things perhaps not only are dark in the environment around me, but in some of the situations that I have to think about and deal with. Yeah, the prayers of the midnight hour. And hopefully then I will go to bed and I will rest peacefully and be ready to face the new day. Well, one of the classic stories, which I'm not to yet, because it hasn't quite come in the story, but it's almost there. This is on June 18th, 1940, Winston Churchill addressed the people of Great Britain in the House of Commons. Love that term, because that's what it should be. The Commons, the folks, the people, not the elite, not necessarily the leaders. He addresses them. And the one paragraph after an incredible, spellbinding speech, "Let us therefore brace ourselves to our duty, and so bear ourselves that if the British Empire and Commonwealth last for 1,000 years, men will say this was their finest hour." We'll celebrate that on June 18th, because June 18th, 2020, it will be the 80th anniversary of what some people have said is one of the greatest motivational talks, greatest speeches, greatest rallying cries in modern history, and maybe even longer than that. Certainly remembered. And that's why I said at the beginning of this program that I'm longing that we will begin to find, particularly raised up from the Christian entrepreneur leadership community, voices of courage and clarity and conviction who will speak those strong words so that we can listen and perhaps find ways to make it our finest hour. Could this be your finest hour? As I often say, let that sit on your head for a while. And if it's a good little lesson, as I say, not only let it sit on your head, let it perhaps stir your mind, move your spirit and touch your heart, and maybe move your entire body into action. Just a thought. For your thought and consideration. But let me ask you, we're about halfway through this long period, and we're on the end point, we hope. What can we do now to perhaps make this, as we gone through it and come out, where we might say, you know what? That was one of my finest hours. That's when I learned a lot. That's when I accomplished. That's when I knew God's presence in new and powerful ways. So in that way, it is my finest hour. It changed me. It changed me in profoundly good and new and powerful ways. I experienced God's power in new and powerful ways. I gave up the magic and experienced not just the marvels, but the real miracles. What could you do right now as we are coming up, going out, and into the spring, and wondering what will happen to make it our finest hour? Now, the interesting thing about the story will be is all of that was in preparation, that agony and that ecstasy and that terrible wonder and all that type of stuff. And that's when Churchill said, this is their finest hour. Maybe this could be it. But the part of the dread was yet to come, because all of that was a prelude to the real terrible Battle of Britain that then took place in the fall. And so we still may have a real battle ahead of us come the fall. And what will we do with the preparation that we've had and with the insights we've gained and the things we've learned, that if just maybe after a brief break in the summer it comes back, what can we be and do to simply help survive and thrive and say, yeah, I think this was our finest hour? Well, I'm just going to ask you on this Tuesday evening to give that some serious thought. We've got a lot of things coming forward on the Master Entrepreneur. I have been able, thanks to some good things that God has done for me, we have learned a great deal. We have now people that we can help. As I said, why aren't you one of them? Right now, this is the time for you to get your platform together, to get your program together, to put yourself and your business in a new position, seeking God's creative power, and then speaking and teaching and leading and communicating as the person that you are, that God has created you for. I've oftentimes said, could this be what you were created for? To help men and women through this time. Could this be for you not only the finest hour, but maybe this is the appointed hour? You know, we never know what might be the hour that is most significant in our lives. And I'm very, very clear for many of us, this is your encore hour. This is for those of us who are at that stage in life. We're perhaps on the final platform, the final performance, the final program that we have to do. And this is our encore. I wonder how we will do. Will the good Lord say to us, well done, thy good and faithful servant? I oftentimes wonder if when a soul of daring and do and service to God enters heaven, do they have a standing ovation? For some of the few. All are saints, but I wonder if anybody gets a standing ovation for how they lived and how they served and how As somebody might say, heaven is now a better place, but earth not so, because they're now gone. Hey, we're at 15 minutes, and that's all I need to do today. But I want to encourage you. We have a lot of things coming. We're going to have a variety of programs that will be helpful for you because they are not made for you. I'm going to make each program for a special person this week. I have one specific person in mind, and it'll be for them. But I think in it being for them, it could also be helpful to you. A new radio experiment that we're going to begin on What It Takes Radio, because we want to have you on the radio. My goal is that from this time, we will be able to empower hundreds of God's voices, special people with special powers, special women and men who pray profoundly, and then they speak and perform boldly and well. That's what I want to have happen. And through What It Takes Radio and the Master Entrepreneur, I'd like to make that happen for you. That's right. This is indeed a program for you. With a little bit of a slight smile, I will also be doing a number of video programs, What It Takes and On the Edge. And then occasionally, as I said, with a little bit of a smile and a little bit of a mystery that I seek called Showings from Stan. Showings from Stan. That'll be coming up. Thank you for taking time on this Tuesday night. Again, the takeaway is easy and obvious. Could this be our finest hour? And what are you going to do at whatever stage and age you are in life that you might be, do, and serve somebody in such a way that there's a possibility that indeed this is your finest hour. All the best and blessings. Bye for now.